welcome to Droppin Gems. Time for Change Tuesdays, every other Tuesday at 6 p.m. We getting closer to the season of believing, yes, and of Jesus' birthday. If you believe, if you believe otherwise, then that's fine as well. But we are here, and I'm extremely excited. Last time I know we talked about, what did we talk about, y'all? Seasons of business, right? And the reason why we talked about seasons of business is because it's so important for you to pay attention to. Okay, don't all speak at once. Your forecasting, right? For you to pay attention to your broadcasting, for you to pay attention to your marketing, for you to pay attention to all of those nuances to have best practices of understanding your business, right? So we were talking about potentially having like the 4 quarters of your business because of the year, and that's why it's broken down. And we were talking about the seasons and like summer and fall and spring and what's a good time for you and all of this good stuff. And the reason why we were talking about that is because today we're going to be talking about like how do you choose your fiscal year. Fiscal is FISCAL. Fiscal year. It's so important for you to pay attention to your fiscal year because all of business must have a start and an end for their money counting. Okay? So, time for change, as you know, I always use time for change as an example to give you some insight. So, time for change is from January 1 to December 31st. Now, I'm going to tell you, remember I said time for change birthday was February, and why would I do that? Because every time I have a birthday, I can't raise money because it's after the actual giving thing, but I'm going to still do it and I'm going to still try and it's going to be great and people are still going to donate and it's going to be wonderful, right? But another thing that I did was set up my fiscal year from January to December. But I just told you that the seasons and my most busiest seasons, remember we had this discussion, was in the summer, right? The summer and the fall area it's busy, and then it dies down and I go dormant and then up again. So, but because my fiscal year is from January 1 to December 31st, it's not based on the seasons of my company. It's not based on the seasons of the company. I wouldn't have known the seasons of the company back then. I did not know because I just picked what I thought was suitable. But what I should have been paying attention to is what I'm going to teach you today in this course, okay? Or in this podcast, all right? So, when you think about choosing the right fiscal year for your business, which is very important, okay? First, you got to understand what is a fiscal year anyway. So, a fiscal year is your 12-month financial cycle used for accounting and tax purposes, okay? And it could be whatever you want it to be. But most businesses default to a calendar year, which is what I did, January 1 to December 31. But that's not your only option, okay? That's very important. All right. So, the key question that you should consider is, should your fiscal year, the calendar year, should it match the calendar year, or should it follow your business cycle? Okay? What makes sense, right? So, you need to, it says a January through December fiscal year is the simplest and most common choice, right? So, your sales are steady year round. That's when that is good, okay? When you're a new or small business with straightforward operations, or when you want to keep your tax and bookkeeping simple, or you don't have major seasonal swings, all right? So remember when I was talking about time for change, I said that, I have one department, or go back and watch that show. But I have one department that is staggered across. But you know, in the holiday season, we kind of had some wiggle. We had kind of have some downplay, but it's staggered across the whole entire year. It makes sense that I started my company with a fiscal year of January to December because at the time I started with the psychotherapy department. So it made sense. I was only looking at one source of revenue. Boom, 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 boom. Throughout the whole entire year, right? And then I started growing. And I received government contracts. First government contract was a summer government contract. So it boosts my revenue right in the middle of the year, right? And then later on in that October, I received another government contract. But that contract was a year contract, but DC government fiscal year is from October 1 to September 30th. So all of the government contracts and grants that I was receiving had these different fiscal years attached onto them, which fluctuated the seasons of the business and the business revenue and the business cycle. Okay, are you following me? Are you following me? Because I'm getting a little in the weeds, right? But that's something that you need to pay attention to. That's why you had to understand the seasons of business and the cycle of business and your revenue, because you got to set this thing up the right way. Okay, you gotta understand. So if you had major swings, which I did, because the money that I was making in the psychotherapy department, no way compared to my summer contract. It just didn't. It was like, oh, okay, you working part-time, you working part-time, you working part-time. Boom! Now you can work full-time for this company. All right? And I was like, oh, okay, now we talking. Right? But that summer contract was just from here to there. It was only from June to September 30th. So that was the push in the company for that cycle, but it wasn't set on the fiscal year cycle of the company. All right? You have all different types of businesses. You got freelancers, you got online businesses, you got sole proprietors. You have all of these people, right, that have business and they make business. But if you're not paying attention to how the money is coming in and going out, then you wouldn't know. Now, it's to be assumed that you was already doing business operations and you was trying to get your business into play, and you wanted to make sure that you had all of your ducks in a row. And because you wanted to make sure that you had all your ducks in a row, right? You are sitting back now and you're saying, oh, so this is what she's talking about. Now, you might want to consider your fiscal year, but you probably already said it because you had to do that with the IRS when you first registered with your EIN and all of that. But some people are walking around and they don't even have that yet because y'all was watching Droppin Gems, but y'all still ain't do what you're supposed to do. So if you ain't do that yet, guess what? This is fully preparing you, because now you can really go back and look, because you probably was doing some hand over pocket, hand over money type of situation for your business, but now you can really understand how you're supposed to put it down, right? The other thing that you want to consider, so when a non-calendar fiscal year works best. So the one that I chose was a calendar fiscal year, right? When a non-calendar fiscal year works best, right, is when you have a strong seasonal business. And that is like what I was talking about, when you had a strong business inside of the springtime, or inside of the summertime, or inside of the wintertime, all right? Usually these types of business are like landscaping, tourism, or a retail cycle when they boom in Christmas time, all right? Most of your revenue might be at the end of the year. So you might work all year long, but then most of your revenue is booming at the end of the year. You want your fiscal year to end during your slow season so that you could close the books with less stress. Sometimes that works for me, right? Because I'm in my lean zone. Right? We talked about that. I don't have anything else to do but write and do all of the things that I need to do to push the company and talk to my old customers, right? So in that time frame, I also want to make sure that I'm closing out my books and I'm paying everything that I'm supposed to pay before that end of the fiscal year, before December the 31st. So whatever I was supposed to spend, whatever invoices I was supposed to pay, whatever bills I have, I'm closing them out. All right? So that's going to be really important to know. That helps you with less stress because you don't want to be closing out. I find that you do not want to be closing out your books, even though the government is October 1 to September the 30th. You do not want to be closing out your books the same time as them. You might want to set your fiscal year up to that, but let me tell you, you will be stressed because they try to close out their stuff. So I let them stress and close out their stuff, and then when I don't have a lot going on, then I close down my stress. All right? So even though I picked that fiscal year and I didn't know that I picked that fiscal year and it was going to work, now I know that it worked. That's what Droppin' Gems is about. It's about me educating you, telling you information that I wish I would have known before I started operations and before I was in the business. It's so important. And I'm hoping that I'm helping hundreds and thousands of you. All right? So, also, a non-calendar one is good for you need alignment, budgeting, or inventory management. So, you line that up with that. So, many retail businesses in their fiscal year, January 31st instead of December 31st. Because they need all of the holiday sales and clearances and everything to be over. All of the specials and all of that. But they also need that revenue to come in so they can count their numbers. They can't count their numbers until January. So that's why they need to end their fiscal year in January versus in December. But you could pick a non-traditional calendar year from June to July. I know in Prince George's County, they do June to July. Which is it? Yeah, July 1 to June 30th, right? So they do that. But that's again, I would not want mine by their stuff because they be stressed out trying to get that done. DC is from October 1 to September 30th. I wouldn't want my stuff around that, right? My time to have my fiscal year in would be best to have it on December the 31st and or March 31st because that's when I finish paying out every single thing from the previous year. Sometimes I get it done in the same year. I pay out and get in invoices that were owed to me or whatever the case may be. Sometimes I do get it done by December the 31st. Sometimes I don't. And then my accountant's job is to manage that and make sure that we catch all of those things. All right? So, how to choose. Look at your business, busiest season. Season. We talked about that last time. So, your fiscal year should end after the rush, not during it. So, I could never have a June or July end date, right, for my fiscal year. I will never have a September 30th end date for my fiscal year because I do a lot of business with the government contracts and all of them people and grants and all of that stuff. So I want to be out the way. I want to make sure mine is in a quiet season when the government workers are not there asking me questions or auditing me. That's what I want to do. So less stress, right? Your tax obligations. Some business structures, like sole proprietorship, must use a calendar year until they apply for it to change. So you might gotta pay attention. If you are registered as a sole proprietorship, you're gonna have to pay attention. You might not have a choice. Think about bookkeeping, workload. When do you actually have the time to sit down and close the books? So when do you have downtime? So for a photographer, if you're busy in the spring and you're busy in the fall, Those are two seasons that's around one season. The summer, well, two seasons, the summer and the winter. When do you have that time? Which one is best for you? Do you want to do it around the holidays like me? Or do you want to do it around, that February time? But you got to think about the bookkeeping and the stuff that we talked about in our other sessions. All right. Consider your investors or industry norms. So some industries tend to use certain fiscal year for easy comparisons. So all of my business investors and government contracts and all of that stuff, like I said, if I wanted to do it near theirs, then we will be sizing up against each other. For my business, that wouldn't work. I wouldn't want to do that because they ask me for so much deliverables and so much information that I wouldn't want to be nowhere near their deadline. And I know some of y'all on my show probably have government contracts, have grants, and you probably sit here listening to me like, why did I make mine June to July in PG County? Or why did I make mine to match DC government? Because you're stressed. Yeah, that's why. That's why. You also want to talk to your accountant before finalizing. Like, they will seriously save you some time in your planning because they will tell you in the scope of what you already are doing, what it looks like, and how you want it to look. Okay, they're going to tell you that. All right. So, changing an existing fiscal year is possible though, but you may need approval from your tax authority, which you do, and you must follow specific procedures. So, always, 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 always talk to your accountant, okay? Talk to your accountant. So, what we've gathered, right, is that you need to understand what the fiscal year is when you're registering your business and you pairing it up with your business, when you are registering your EIN and your tax information. Nobody's telling you this information when you're registering your business. Like I said, I didn't know that I was doing something that was going to be beneficial to me now. I had no idea, right? I had no idea. But it was important for me to pay attention to it now, because now I'm like, okay, I could utilize this, because you can change, but why not scope it out and be smart about it now? All right, because you could change it, but you got to be smart about it now. This is early on. So make sure that you do that, okay? Make sure that you understand in what month makes sense for you. Like I said, I just picked a calendar year, but it might make sense for you to be less busy at a certain time of year that you don't traditionally do a lot of things that don't make sense to anybody else. April 30th and May 1st. It might not make sense to anybody else, but guess what? It'll make sense to you. It'll make sense to you. So the fiscal year is a moving target for you to be successful. It's not something that you should ignore, because the accounting piece is so important, right? The accounting piece for paying attention to the flow of the operations is so important. All right. So it's okay to have a non-calendar year. All right. So here's the thing. In the previous show, I gave you the tools that you needed to understand the seasons of your business, because you needed to scope out your business. And the reason why you needed to scope it out was because you needed to understand how to pick your fiscal year. Okay, your fiscal year is attached onto your taxes, which is attached onto your accounting. Your accountant is attached onto your bookkeeping. Your bookkeeping is how you're managing your money. You remember we talked about your bank account and how you need your bank account to show you all of the in and all of the out. So I was telling you not to have cash, not to be around cash So much so because we electronically have a way in your bank account to manage all of these funds and all of this money. I mean, Cash App, now you get it to 99, all of that good stuff, but that's still not quite there. It's not good enough. You need a separate account attached onto your EIN so that you can manage and see the charts that you are going to graph to see how much is going in, how much is going out, and around what time is this going in and what time is going out. Because I'm going to tell you a little secret, all right? The bank is watching that too. So you need to watch it just like them. Don't be the stupid or ignorant one. The person in the business and the bank is managing your money and seeing your fiscal year and seeing how you spend so that they can make a decision on you. You need to go in informed so that you could tell them how they could make a best decision for you. Being informed is the first way of how to secure funding. If nobody else can tell you how you spend your money, if you are informed and you know that on this month I make this amount, this month I make this amount, you could say, when they be like, oh, well, your business is rather quiet, you didn't make any revenue this time. Oh, that's because I make triple of what I make in October. I make that in July. It's not missing. It's not that it's not there. It's my fiscal year. If you pull up my fiscal year, it will show you. Matter of fact, let me do that for you. Let me show you a chart. Yeah, I love the role play. Let me show you a chart that shows my fiscal year and how my money actually flows. Because they have that. They're watching that. But guess what? They're not going to tell you. I'm going to tell you here at Droppin Gems. You need to understand the money, the flow, the ins, the outs. What does it look like? And when your fiscal year starts and when it ends. And you need to crunch them numbers and you need to know. Just like when I have some type of grant that's supposed to span on a period of time. When somebody asks me something that they were supposed to ask me in August and they asked me to October, you know what I say? Oh, that initiative is over. That money is already spent. And even though that money might have not been spent, guess what? I'm not going to spend it because it's not in the scope of practice of that month. See, understanding your business from a physical perspective helps you to understand quickly when and how you're spending your money. Right? I'm not getting no ties. It ain't no point in me getting no ties. I might as well just pay this much for a down payment for a new truck. I'm not paying for ties. Like, I'm just not doing it. Not doing it. Because this is the vehicles that we leasing for time for change. We're not doing, not doing it. So all of these things, all of these little nuances and these little decisions is based on your physical, FISCAL, capabilities in your business. So deciding what that year is so important for you to make the financial decisions and accounting ongoing. That's the only reason why I've been able to survive for almost 10 years. It's because I've been looking and looking and looking and looking. Now, I was doing it just because I have like anxiety. And I was looking like, oh, I don't have no money. Oh, I don't have no money. Oh, I got to hurry up and get this money. Oh, I got to hurry up and get this. And then I realized why my anxiety was so high, because I know that money is going to be coming, but it's going to be coming at a certain time. And then I was like, I just got to make it until this time. So I started to adjust my thinking so that I could adjust my anxiety around it, because people have so much anxiety. Remember we talked about fear and financial. People have so much fear around finances, but you don't really pay attention to the fiscal year and the seasons of your business to understand that it's coming. Right? And then, of course, with prayer, because you need faith, right? So faith, fear, finances, it's all connected, right? So, yeah, if they pull a contract or they pull a grant, you're like, oh. And then, yeah, it's going to send a shock through your company, right? But I've been saying this whole time, I've been like, damn, this is feeling quite like COVID. Because I'm saying it's feeling like COVID, I'm strapped up, y'all. I'm tight as ass. I'm trying to figure this out. I'm like, I got to stay in my lane. What did I do when it was COVID fiscal year? Well, I increased my psychotherapy to hold me over because it's from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. And I know that's guaranteed coin that's going to come through. So I need to boost that up. Okay, let me post this position. Let me pull in a therapist. Let me hire this. Let me train this person. Let me get this in because I need my other therapist to get their license. Oh, when is their license up? Okay, their license up on this day. I know that they about to be up for renewal. Let's make some more money. Yeah, let me train you to be a supervisor. I need you to be a supervisor of a supervisor. Right? I need you to be a supervisor of a subordinate. Of the supervisor. I need to push me up. Because we got to survive. Right? So I got to push me up. Push them in position. But I already know because I'm paying attention to the fiscal year. But I'm also paying attention to the funding going like this. I'm looking at healthcare like, wait, did they make a decision? Oh, I guess we got another 35 days. Paying attention to legislation and all of that. That all has something to do with your fiscal year. Elections has something to do with your fiscal year. You better wake up. You better start paying attention, looking at the news. Even if you just do photography, or if you just do, plumbing, or if you just do HVAC, or if you just do whatever, you still gotta watch the news. If you're an entrepreneur, you gotta watch the news. You gotta listen to WTOP. You gotta be in the car listening to that. I know Cardi got a new bomb track record out. You know what I'm saying? I know that it's a couple of other ones that dropped, but I'm telling you, if you gave a little bit more play to that WTOP so you could be forecasting about your fiscal year, just a little bit, just give it a little bit of time, you will be a better and more secure entrepreneur. Dropping Gems is here to drop gems that if I had my gems back then, literally, even the ones on my teeth, if I had them, I would have been 10 times better entrepreneur. So I'm giving this to y'all because I want you to be 10 times better than me. Now, I don't know if you know anybody that's going to do that, but I want to thank you for subscribing, liking my show here at Droppin' Gems. The next time we meet, we will be celebrating a year of working together. Yes, a year. A year which I will be able to forecast what is next. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and you follow me at Time for Change Consult. Alright? I would like to thank you, each and every one of you, for tuning in to Droppin' Gems every other Tuesday at 6 p.m. I look forward to you finding out the seasons of your business. I look forward of you forecasting and seeing what exactly a fiscal year for your business is supposed to look like. And I still got more information. I'll talk to you soon. See y'all the week after next. Bye.